Hi, Chris.
Hi, Sue.
Well, I'm going to start with not really a question to you, but a kind of opening up about me. I'm a bit of a coffee fan, but I would say you're a coffee fanatic.
I've just become one. Yes.
Okay. So every time I come here, we have a lovely cup of coffee, but today was particularly good. Tell me all about it.
Well, yeah, I've got a new machine. The normal machine that you have, which is quite good coffee, is what we call a bean to cup. So you put the coffee beans in, it grinds it and makes the coffee straight in your cup. And the one that you tried earlier was a manual espresso machine. And instead of me putting the beans into the machine, etc., next to it there is a coffee grinder that grinds the coffee to perfection for espresso.
Right. So would you say the great coffee today, it was due to the machine or due to the type of coffee that the blend, I should say, that we drank? What would you say?
Well, are you asking me what makes a good cup of coffee?
I am actually.
Okay. So it's a combination of many, many things. One thing is the beans need to be fresh, because if you don't have fresh beans, you don't get the crema on top of, which is,
What's that crema?
it's, if you look at a Guinness, you have on the top like a white bit. In coffee, you have one which is sort of a goldeny type color. That is called the crema.
Right, because me, I'd call it like a froth.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you want to call it froth, you can, but it's actually called a crema.
Right, okay.
People worked for their whole life finding this word. And
The exact
you're
word.
calling it a froth, Anyway, so to get the crema, the beans have to be fresh, because it's a case of when the beans go off, well, not go off, but become stale, they get oxidized. So there's no, I think it's CO2 that makes the crema. And this crema, you can leave it on top and drink it as if you would a beer or whatever with the froth on the top. But this is called crema anyway. Or you can stir it in to get like this mega coffee taste. So if you've got beans which are, I would say, maximum 3 weeks old.
Oh, really?
Not the beans actually, but the roast. Because the beans, when they're sent to the torrefactor, the roaster, are that they are green, in fact, and then they're roasted. So they've got to be roasted, I'd say a maximum of 3 weeks.
Okay.
So obviously you can't really, buy beans from a supermarket to have the same effect. You can buy beans from a supermarket, but you won't get the same effect, and you won't get this strong coffee taste.
Right, because I have to say it was particularly tasty today, and I've seen people make coffee lots of times, but the thing that impressed me about today's coffee, first of all, it was very, very tasty, and secondly, there was no faff, is what I would say. It was like, you just did it quick,
Yeah.
done. Where some machines, I think, goodness me, messing about with this, messing around with that.
Yeah. Well, so all I do is put the beans into the grinder. The grinder then puts it into the portafilter. Yeah, so it goes straight into that. Then you tamp it down, so it's a certain amount of pressure. You have to make sure as well that the coffee grains are, nice and evenly spread, so you don't get, because water will go, because it's pressurized, to the easiest way out. And if you have uneven coffee, then you're not going to get a good coffee. So that's one thing. The beans that I have are single variety, okay, which means they come from a single farm. And this is the one that you had today was called Kenya Mocha, which is a type of coffee. There's all different types of coffee. So when somebody says, what's the best coffee to buy? Well, there is not. It's up to your taste, I particularly like something which is a little bit chocolatey and a little bit fruity. It's 100% Arabica, which means
I don't know.
it's a type of bean. And in fact, Arabica beans, because you get, there's a few types of beans, but really the two main ones are Arabica and Robusta. Robusta add something. I'm not sure. I'm not really that keen on it. And in fact, what it does, Robusta ups the caffeine level, and you can have Arabica beans. Your coffee is virtually the same as decaffeinated, but it's still got the caffeine in it, but it's very, very small with Arabica. So and other people tell you that you should look at your water. Well, our water here isn't too hard where we are in Toulouse, and also I have a water filter in the in the water, so it is filtered water. So you've got the coffee beans, you've got the grind. Now another thing is it's how you grind them.
Tell me all about it.
Well, I mean, you've got different types of coffee which you can make. You can make a French press. It's like a glass jug where you push down a piston.
I have one of those at home.
So for a French press, these are quite a coarse grind. And then you have filter coffee, which is another one. You have these Italian machines, where you put half, you take it apart, put your stuff in. Those are, and the finest is Turkish coffee, but just before that is espresso coffee. So in able to get the good coffee taste, to get a good extraction, to get a good crema, you have to, basically the fineness of your beans needs to be perfect.
Okay.
And you don't know until you do it, and you test it, and you test it, and you test it.
Gosh, this sounds like a lot of preparation.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had to mod the machine in a way as well, because I use unpressurized filters. A pressurized filter will always give you a false crema, because what you have is you have quite a lot of, it's a double skinned filter. This is getting boring now, isn't it?
Well, I'm almost going to say, shall we have a cup of coffee?
You're supposed to say,
yes.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Okay, right. So this has a double wall. One wall has lots of holes, and it goes to a second wall which has just a few holes. So it's forced through. It's what we call pressurized filter. I use non-pressurized, and it gives you the real crema, because when you have the pressurized, the crema is not a real crema. It's not the same taste. There you go.
Good. So I literally know hardly anything about coffee, but I've been looking up a few words. Now, what is the difference between a light roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast? I mean,
it's the taste, really.
I'm guessing light means mild.
Not necessarily mild, but it might not be as strong a taste as a dark roast. I like a medium roast myself. Because then, in fact, what it gives other things. Because when you have a darker roast, it gives bitterness. I'm not really keen on bitterness in coffee. I like quite a nice round.
And could you rate the coffee we had earlier on? Was that a medium?
That's a medium roast, yeah.
Okay. And can you tell us the names of some other country? I mean, is it per country where it's medium or dark? Or?
No. Because you have the beans, and then it's afterwards how you want it roasted.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So to get more flavour, but with that flavour will come something else.
Oh, I see.
So if you've got if you've got like a light roast, then you may have more sort of fruity type flavours, but you can also have those fruity type flavours in a medium roast, but you won't get it in a dark roast.
So often in France, people say to you, "Would you like an espresso?"
Yeah.
What is that?
What is? That's what you had. Basically, it's forcing hot water or steam. It's got to come out at 9 bars, okay? Right, that's the pressure.
You'd be a bit of a geek, coffee geek for all this, don't you?
Yeah, you do. I mean, there's loads of stuff on it. I actually, one of my clients, he's the guy that got me into this. But there's loads of stuff on internet about it. But basically, you'll see a lot of if you go to like I don't know, a place that sells electrical things, and you see espresso machines, they'll say 20 bars, 30 bars, and stuff
that's
like
interesting.
This. But that's at the pump. Okay, so when it comes out, it's less than that, and it might come out at 4 or 5 bars. And 4 or 5 bars is not enough. No, it's not going to be a real espresso.
Okay, here's another question for you. What about the caffeine kick? Is that connected to whether it's a light roast, a medium roast?
No, it's the type of bean. I like pure Arabica.
So what is the bean which gives you the best caffeine kick.
Well, I guess it'd be Robusta, which I was just talking
But you
about
don't
while
really
you were
care
asleep.
for. Yes, I was just. Perhaps I need a coffee to boost
there
me
you go.
up.
Yeah,
Yes.
but you won't get much caffeine from from Arabica. Sorry,
Okay.
Arabica for me are the best and purest taste of
Okay.
coffee.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you probably a question you're not going to like at all.
Okay,
What do you think about these coffee? I'm going to call them coffee shops. These well-known brands, American coffee, where you get a whole range of pumpkin coffee.
King coffee.
Yeah, well, they have that at Halloween.
Really?
Oh yes.
Okay.
I mean, what do you think about all these? I mean, are you a real purist where you stick with just the plain? I mean, do you put milk in your coffee, for example?
Never ever. No. No, I'm not into these. You see these things like it's I don't know, about half a liter of coffee, loads of milk, and then they put stuff like hazelnut
Yeah, I like
stuff
that.
on the top, or they put caramel stuff on the top.
Yeah, I
But
quite like that.
well, yeah, I mean, for me, it's coffee for people that don't like coffee.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
You know,
I do know exactly what
it's
you
a
mean.
drink, okay,
It's a
but it's
drink.
not for me. It's not coffee.
Yes,
You know,
I
I
agree.
prefer to go to a coffee, a real cafe and have coffee. Although, sometimes the coffee's not great from them either.
Yes, yeah, and I'm not a big coffee expert, but since you telling me about it, I've become quite interested in it, and so I'm going to make a quiz.
Okay.
And I might just ask you a couple of questions.
Go on, then.
Actually.
Oh my word.
Where was coffee first invented, discovered, drunk?
Probably in the UK.
No. I'm not going to give you the answer because it's going to be in a quiz.
Spain, then.
No.
Or it's by the Indians, the Amerindians,
No. It was
the Incas, the Aztecs.
It was something that quite surprised me.
Oh, really?
And so,
Okay.
so it might surprise some of the the listeners. What else was there? How many coffee beans does it take to make an espresso?
I don't know how many beans, but normally...
How many beans make 5?
Normally you've got between 9 and 11 grams of ground coffee, but I don't know how many beans that would be.
Well, there you go. It will all be in a quiz.
25, 30 maybe.
Yeah. And where is coffee grown? What type of plant? Can you describe a coffee plant?
Yeah, it's little berries, in fact, red berries.
On a tree or on a bush?
On a bush, and they're dried out. And you can, I mean, they say that, people are sort of, it's a bit like wine, when you say, where's the best wine? But it depends really, because you can get, a coffee from Guatemala, Ecuador, from Chile, from Jamaica. Jamaica's probably the most expensive, or one of the most expensive coffees. I've got some, in fact, Jamaican Blue Mountain. It's about €50 for 250 grams.
Well, do it now. We'll have a drink of that.
I will tell you that I'm still practicing, and I'm not putting any of that through my machine until I've got it exactly right. Because when you see people, what they do is, right, real coffee, like enthusiasts, they weigh the coffee they put into their filter, they weigh the water, and then they'll weigh what comes out. And basically, if you're putting, I don't know, 10 milliliters or 10 grams of coffee, you should get 5 out. Basically, it's divided by 2.
Okay.
Yeah. And people time the coffee making as well.
Yeah.
I know you're looking like that, and I thought that at first.
I just thought it's a very nice hot drink.
No, but once you've got that, you can do it by eye. Until you get that, you don't know what you're doing. And then you get that coffee which is perfect for you. It may not be the perfect coffee, but it's perfect for you. You've got it by eye. You know how much water to put in. You know how long it will take. There you go.
Well, I think there's lots of interesting things about coffee, and one of the most I didn't know. Coffee is the world's second most traded good.
Oh, really?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
So it's a massive business product, trade. So it's really.
Have you ever been to a real coffee roasters?
No. What is that? In fact, do you mean a factory or?
No. It's like a shop, specialist shop, and you can go in and you can either go and get the coffee which you want if you know what you're after. You know, you've tried different coffees and you thought, wow, this is the one for me. Or you can go in and you can ask the guy, you can say, I want a coffee which is fruity with an aftertaste of coffee, not too bitter, blah, blah, blah. And he will give you the exact beans and then he'll grind them for you if you want. I don't use ground coffee anymore. It grinds it per cup. So, you know, keeps it fresh.
I have actually been to a shop like that in Toulouse.
Yeah, there are two in Toulouse, at least.
The shop smells
Oh, it's beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think I bought the wrong thing when I went, but
Possibly. But in the one that I went to the other day, because I discovered another one on the way to the one that I was going to get my stuff from, and he asked me what I wanted, and I said, I want this, you know, I wanted a Colombian, blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, what do you want? Fruity, chocolatey, acid, whatever. And I said, oh, I'd like, and he opened these three bins of coffee beans, and I smelt them, and that I did it by smell, and I got a coffee by smell. Yeah.
golly,
And very nice it is too.
golly. Well, just to round up
But it's
on
very
this,
complex, huh?
oh,
It's very
sure.
complex, the actual tastes of coffee. I would say that it is very much like wine, you know? It's very, very much like that. There's lots of subtleties. I mean, well, wine is just a grape, you know, basically, yeah? Coffee is just coffee bean. Although there are different, you know, with the coffee bean, there are different levels of roast, there's different levels of grinding. So maybe it's a little bit more complex than wine, arguably.
Well,
I don't know.
think you put your finger on it there because in my little research, it was showing that coffee has more flavours than wine, and wine's got a hell of a lot of flavours.
Yeah.
And just to say that in some of the countries I've been looking at, coffee has been banned at certain times because they liken it to the effect that wine might have on people.
Yeah.
So I think,
or some sort of drug.
you put your finger right
Yeah.
on it there. So, are there any weird and wonderful coffees that you've tried and maybe you could recommend to us?
Not really, but I know of some. In fact, I think the most expensive coffee in the world is called Black Ivory, which is about 1,500 euros for 500 grams. And what happens is the company of Black Ivory have elephants and they feed the coffee beans to the elephant. It goes through the elephant, comes out in the dung, and all sorts of things happen in the digestive tract of the elephant. They sift through the dung, and this is what they do. There's another one called Kopi Luwak, which is the berries are eaten by a palm civet, which is like a big mouse, if you like, a big rat. It eats the coffee beans, the same sort of thing, goes through the intestines and is sort of, you know, affected, the coffee bean that is affected by the gastric juices. And it's grown in East Timor, in Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, Ethiopia. And the problem is that it's not really that good now because a lot of it is used with caged civets. So these animals, these poor animals, are kept in a cage, fed coffee beans, etc. It's quite rare because in 2014, for example, the peak of production was 127 kilos. That was it, you know.
But I would say, thank goodness. I don't think as a marketing, you know, sort of like advertising, whether, you know, sort of beans that have gone through rats and elephants would really make me go and buy it. I don't know about you.
Not really, no. No, it seems a bit weird, but apparently for some people. However, there is the Specialist Coffee Association of America, and they spoke about this Kopi Luwak, and they said it's mainly sold for the story. You know, the fact that, and they agreed that it tasted just bad. And one woman who tried it, who was a food writer or a man, one person anyway, tried it, and they said it has all the sort of characteristics of stale dinosaur poo soaked in bathwater.
Well, I think she's taken the words straight out of my mouth there.
There you go. So we don't need that. I think, you know, if you want a real sort of nice, not too off the wall type of coffee, and you want to spend a little bit just for treats, you're not going to drink it every day, but a bit of Jamaican Blue Mountain, why not?
Let's get on it then.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.